Is it your phone? No, it's that lead. No, that's still making that noise. No, it's still there. Not that one. It's that. That's acting as an antenna. Just run that round behind the lead there. So take it around the outside and take it around the back of your tripod. We'll run it out of the way, and then back down here. No, go around the outside of your leg. Go around there. Yeah, around there. Yep. No. Oh man. That's going to drive us nuts. Pull that down. Pull that receiver down. We'll tape it down here to the chair. Real fast. Fast and dirty. Yep. Might need one more piece of tape. Yep. I think we might have to. Good afternoon and welcome to the Gungahlin enclosed oval for this round 16 match in the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup for 2018. A most interesting affair on the way this afternoon. We have the side that have been, over the past few weeks, really the runaway leaders in the Canberra Raiders Cup competition for 2018. The Tuggeranong Bushrangers, they have really returned to form for this season. They're up against the Gungahlin Bulls side. The Gungahlin Bulls side, they are out of finals contention, but this week's matchups are largely top versus the bottom half of the table competition, so we get to see our competition leaders as they make their way out onto the field. Alongside me, Chris Coleman, this afternoon. Once again, Sonny Singh for some co-commentary. Good afternoon to you, Sonny.
Good afternoon, Chris. Pleasure to join you once again, and hopefully we're in for a closer game than the ladder suggests.
Well, let's see how it all pans out, but you've got a few stats and a bit of a preview for us before the Bulls, the home side, make their way out.
I sure do, and look, on paper this does look like a complete mismatch. The Bushrangers sitting very pretty on top of the table. They've got plenty of momentum going into the finals, whereas the Bulls are out of finals contention. They're sitting in second last place, and they've only put 2 wins together for the whole season. But I mean, if you heard Michael Solis earlier in the week, they're a team that's enjoying their footy at the moment. They're throwing it around, and they've had some improved performances over the past month. So the question mark will always be over whether their defence can withstand the same Tuggeranong onslaught that put 50 on them earlier in the season. For the Bushrangers, I mean, they've shown their dominance throughout the entire season, and they've just gone from strength to strength every week. They had a slight hiccup last week against Belconnen United, but they still came away with a scrappy win. And there's a lot to like about their side, and they've been the benchmark all year. The one thing that will be interesting for them this week and over the next few weeks is they've had a few lean seasons over the past few years. They're not used to being front runners, so it'll be interesting to see what they're like, knowing that the sides behind them are breathing down their neck.
It's a big question when the hunter becomes the hunted. And we've seen it in plenty of sports over the years. How do teams cope with it? Well, thus far, the Tuggeranong Bushrangers have dealt with it pretty well. They sit on top of the table with an 11-2 win-loss record and a mammoth for and against of plus 229. The Gungahlin Bulls, they are in 8th out of 9, and they have a 2-11 win-loss record, and they're pour and against not exactly something to write home about at minus 171. We'll go through some of the lineup details in a couple of minutes, but it's the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. They're in the blue jerseys heading from right to left on your screen towards the Gungahlin shops end, while the Gungahlin Bulls in the red are heading to the south end of the Gungahlin enclosed oval, or if you prefer, what would we call that? We would call that, I guess, the leisure centre end is probably the best thing, or the car park end, but that's not quite as romantic, is it?
No, not quite, until we get it sponsored.
Well, we'll find out that, and of course, if you'd like to sponsor the Bar TV broadcast of the Ospreykers Canberra Raiders Cup competition, which will continue in 2019, I'm sure the people at the Canberra Region Rugby League would love to hear from you. But it is the Gungahlin Bulls with the first takeaway for this afternoon, and they come up just inside the halfway line here. Bit hard to pick up some of these line markings on this very heavily trafficked field for 2018. It is very much a multi-purpose field. Aussie rules, rugby union, soccer all played here, as well as rugby league, as the kick comes across field. Oh, that's a good pick up by Todd Sherd. Sherd puts Paul inside, has been dived upon there by Matt Gruber, the fullback for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. Desperation called for early in the piece, and Gruber picking it up. There was a nice little play. I was particularly impressed by the way Sherd hung on to that, because I don't know it was initially on the way to him. Now that's Livanite to a Kakao. 6 tries for him so far this season, and the winger starting off running straight up the middle of the park, and now on the way once again the Bushrangers. Look at them just making meterage up the middle of the ground. That would be Nachuki, I reckon, in the orange boots. Now going the little run from dummy half is Matt Gruber, so the fullback keeping himself busy in there. 10 metres into opposition territory. I don't know whether you can hear that coming through from beneath us as Venisi now goes for a run for the Bushies. Whether you can hear the thumping from the sheds downstairs, but it was a big win for the Bushrangers in reserve grove. A 6-all at half-time, but a massive blowout in the second half there. Ball on the ground now, bouncing around all over the place. Comes to Blake Murray. Murray goes skyward. Now getting in underneath it will be Sherd. He'll get the crack at it. Flies unopposed, puts it down, and this will be 6 more tackles to the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. You could take your pick of reasons there, but the most glaringly obvious one was that the ball went to the ground and went forward. So it'll be the Bushies, and they're not going to muck around here with going for 2. They want points. They give it. Is that Jaden Thomas on already in the 18 jersey? I think it is. As he makes his way up into the post, it is. So there we go. He started early today. Oh, they're just going to pepper this line, and they've gone in right next to the posts, and I reckon that might be Venisi who's got it. It is Venisi, just to the right of the posts, and they don't come much simpler than that, Sonny Singh.
No, that's very, very simple. And again, it's early signs of Josh Mitchell controlling things there in the ruck. They made a lot of metres very early on in that opening set, compounded with a penalty from a drop ball there, and that was very, very simple stuff from Tuggeranong.
Now we are trying to fix up our referee communications and see if we can bring it to you. It is there, but it's only very, very quiet in the background. We'll see if we can get any more volume on that. We did have some issues with that immediately before the kick-off, so not sure whether we're going to be able to bring you any more of that. So my apologies if we can't, but we are working on it. Very easy try there for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, though, and we've seen a lot of that from them so far in 2018 in this Ospreyers Canberra Raiders Cup. What do you do, Sonny? You're in a team that's a couple of spots from the bottom of the ladder, and it's been a pretty tough season for the Gungahlin Bulls. What do you do in a game like this late in the year up against the top side? What do you use it for?
Well, I mean, it's a good opportunity to introduce some new players going into next season. That always helps. But at the same time, you never go into a football game looking to lose. You want to put in a good performance for the people that have come out for the last home game of the season as well. And I mean, goal line defence is all about attitude, and that time they just let their guard down a little bit. So, but it's early days yet.
Indeed it is. Josh Mitchell with the easy conversion there from just to the right of the uprights. And so what are we? We're 4 minutes in, and it is already 6-0 to the visiting side, the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. Been a while since I've done a Bar TV game here at the Gungahlin enclosed oval. In fact, I don't think I've actually been back here. I know the Bar TV have, but they've been back, I think, on occasions where I've not been on commentary duty. I don't think I've done a game at this ground since round 1 last year. It's a great ground, really magnificent facility up in the northern suburbs of Canberra. It's
a beautiful grandstand. As we see an error here from the kickoff. No, we've got a penalty against them. Hand in the tackle.
Well, the Bushies maybe a little bit lucky to get the call there, but they've got it, and now they'll instead of facing the Bulls on attack from close quarters, instead they get the ball just outside the 30 at their own end of the park, or at least they will when the ball is returned to the field of play. There was a ball boy, but he was 55 or 60 metres away. We've got one out there now, and so we're back into action with the Bushrangers once again, and that's Fa'iti. They just continue to work it forward. You'll just see them batter and batter and batter. I mean, just looking at these two sides, there is a size difference here, isn't there? There's a lot of bigger boys out there for that Tuggeranong Bushrangers side. We don't get the stats before the game of how much they weigh, but I reckon if you averaged it out, I reckon there'd be a good 10 kilo advantage per man across this the 13 players out there at the moment to the side in blue.
Absolutely, and they make so much ground up through the middle, and Josh Mitchell just thrives off that. He takes advantage of any run that seems to make get over the advantage line, and he just dictates play through that ruck very well.
Big hit there. I think that might have been Shane Lomax. It was. Looking every inch his father's son for a second there as he comes up and makes the tackle. The kick comes through from Blake Murray. Murray showing that he's got a useful high kick, now putting a really awkward little grubber kick in, and they're targeting Todd Sherd on this right wing with their kicking game so far, the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. Sam Bramage now. He's just inside the 20. We'll try and give you a bit more geographic direction than we ordinarily would this afternoon, because some of those lines are very, very difficult to pick up as the Bulls make their way forward. That's Skidmore, 25 out from his own line. They're just working it up the middle. They've got to try and find a way around. That may help them with a little pop out there to Madden. And Madden is wrapped up 5 short of halfway, and you heard the referee in the background there say 5th and last, so they've got to kick it, but there's pressure going to be on the kicker. Now, Jake Scholes has been hit as he's kicked that. I fancy Blake Murray put a hand on that before he put it down. Dylan Haitley's come up and wrapped him up. And Jake Scholes is now finally up. He's still limping. He does not look comfortable at all. And the referee's now blowing a whistle in there. I've got to confess, Sonny, I was looking backfield there at Jake Scholes just to see how he is. Can you fill us in on the penalty?
Yeah, it looks like they've been pinged for a high tackle there. And then they've been marched another 10, assuming for back chat.
Well, I can tell you, Jake Scholes, he does not look comfortable out there. He's still very much favouring his left leg, and he's grabbing actually almost at the groin area when he's standing free. That's him on the outside of the tackle and flopping in there. So just keep an eye on him in the next few minutes to see how Jake Scholes pulls up for that Bulls side. But right now it's the Bushrangers on attack again. I reckon that's Nachuki again. It was. You can't miss him. He's got the distinctive haircut and the bright orange Dayglow boots. He's really easy to pick up. Picker sends it across now, finds Thomas. Thomas has been busy early, right on the edge of the soccer 6-yard box as the run comes from dummy half. Mitchell, I reckon he got to the line before he was forced back. Now he's popped that back, and I reckon that might be Thomas again who's got involved. It is. Mitchell, long ball. Bullet-like accuracy to Picker. Picker can't get around the outside of Rocco Sullivan, is it? I reckon it was. So now another run comes from Mitchell. Mitchell puts it over into the corner. That's been tapped forward. There will not be a try coming off this. There will be a knock-on, and it'll be the Bulls to come up with the ball. And because the knock-on happened in the in-goal area, they'll actually get it back to the 20-metre line, which is out there somewhere. Trust me on that. It is out there somewhere. We're going to use the edge, the top of the circle. You want to come about another 2 steps up to get to 20, but there you go. That's I don't know whether you heard the call from the referee. That was the 22, I think he was calling. It is going to be interesting this afternoon to see where some of these penalties take place, and also interesting this afternoon to see, as we see Michaeli Ravalawa make a big run and get out of one tackle. And, he made 15 metres after the initial contact there. The referee's going to be faced with an interesting challenge of marking that 10 metres today. Absolutely, and he's keeping a fairly short 10, and we've seen an error here in the play the ball from Ravalawa after that great run. And this has been the story for the Bulls in 2018. There's good stuff, but it's not sustained. There's good stuff and then there's an error, or there's good stuff and there's a turnover, or there's good stuff and they run out of tackles. They just haven't been able to largely put together repeated occasions of good stuff during the course of the games. Consistency is what you need during a game of rugby league. It's in most sports, but rugby league in particular. If you don't have that consistency, you're going to pay for it, and pay for it fairly quickly. Well, it's been a horrific opening 10 minutes for them. They've conceded 4 penalties. They've only completed at 50%, and they've conceded a very soft try on their goal line. So, I mean, they'll be thankful that they're only 6-0 down, but they've got to start cleaning up these errors. That they do. Of course, the other problem is that it's very hard to clean up the errors when you don't have the ball, and they've hardly had the ball. And each time they've had it, there's been some sort of an error by them as well. If you have just joined us, we've just ticked past 10 minutes in this one. 6-0 to the visiting side. The top of the table, Tuggeranong Bushrangers against the Gungahlin Bulls. Chris Coleman and Sonny Singh in commentary for you this afternoon. That was Michael Brophy. As we see now, it's David Fa'iti. He really is a dynamo. 5 tries for a second rower for the course of the season. The most impressive number for the forwards for the Tuggy Bushrangers is their dummy half, the hooker Josh Mitchell. 10 tries and a mere 53 goals coming into the game today. He really is a point-scoring machine, and you'll see him get more and more involved in the game as it goes on. He becomes the most senior traffic cop in Canberra for about an hour once the game really settles into a routine. Picker with the kick, goes to the far corner. That'll be Solis going up to try and get it, I think, and he gets the ball. Actually manages to avoid the tackle. He gets over the 20, over to the 30, and then suddenly, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Lots of trouble as Picker and Mitchell wrap him up about 10 short of halfway. They come across to the right, the Bulls now. There is a gap. They could have gone with the long ball, and I think that they may have been able to actually make a few more metres. But instead, it was O'Sullivan who was brought to ground. So they will get across the halfway stripe this time, and that is Skidmore making his way, in fact, 5 metres into opposition territory. Come across to the right. That's Lomax, the big fella, gets through the first tackle, pops it out the back door, and once again they've handed up the possession, tapped away to Noah Vanisi. And for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, well, it's just like shelling peas at the moment. They're doing it easy. And off the back of, what was a great take from Solis under pressure, he made a good run. He got this side out of trouble, and you just need to start completing those sets. Indeed you do. Indeed you do. Fa'iti. And again, the Bushrangers, well, they've just decided they don't want to play this game in their own half and are therefore not doing so. This guy's impressed me today. He hasn't stopped Jaden Thomas. That'll be his 3rd or 4th really good hit up where he's made metres or been right on the goal line and just made an impact on this bloke. Well, you'll see him all day. He will not stop Jamal Nachuki. He's got an offload away there late in the piece. I reckon it's Gruber, the fullback, suddenly benefiting from that. They're inside the 10 again. Go over to the right with Picker. Mick Picker pops it around the outside. Over the far side of the ground, it's Livanai Tuakakau, but we've got a penalty in there. I reckon that they potentially could have let play go there for just another second, Sonny. Yeah, a little bit surprised the referee didn't play advantage there. It might have been something in the play the ball, though, which is why he had to pull it up. But well, I heard him saying offside in a try-scoring position. We've got the tries been scored there, and I think it's a double to Noah Vanisi. It is. Oh, no, we're not going to call it a try there. No one was ready, so we'll get an action replay. They'll go for the same play. Venisi tries to do the same thing as he just had on the dry run, and he's this time wrapped up. Gee, how close did he get to the line there? He's only inches short. Pop it back on the inside for Dan Hickson. Hickson dives through and is again just short of the line. They're just going to work the battering ram ploys here. They've got the back line spread out, but it's just the forwards who are going to be trying to get there. But instead they've lost the ball, and it will be the Gungahlin Bulls to come away with it. So I don't know whether that was quite the right tactic there. I know that you're talking first versus eighth. You're talking a very potent attacking side against a side that has had some defensive queries. But sometimes finesse might be a little bit more beneficial than power. Yeah,
a little bit of white line fever there from Mitchell from dummy half. Tried to go through his own player, obstructed the defence, but right call from the referee. We've got another quick tap that's going to be pulled up.
So I wish we had just a little bit more volume on our referee effects. We might just see if we can steal a smidgen more on that. So we're going to get a third go at this. I don't think I've seen a third go at a tap and go.
He had some players in front of him when he tapped the ball, which is why the referees pulled him up. So
he's lucky he didn't give away a penalty himself there. So O'Sullivan, hop step, snaps back in the tackle there as he's really crunched by Noah Venisi. Venisi will be angry. He's had a try and he was up for a double in the first 15 minutes of the game, and he's been robbed of one. I can't believe it's only 6-0 here. We're 15 in, and it's been all blue this afternoon, but the Red Bulls, so to speak, from Gungahlin, they're holding their own. Sheen Lomax now gets across halfway. That's something I've been looking forward to. Lomax versus Venisi. I think we'll give the points to Venisi for the first time. Lomax stealing a couple in the play of the ball. They drop it back to Mead with the kick. That's a towering ball. Underneath it is Gruber. That would not have been easy to take because there were several big red players coming up towards him, and he'd been bumped to the ground. Good to see. Now they're across to the right, off the left rather, with Martin. Jeez. I tell you, I thought he went past the horizontal.
Yeah, so did I. It was very, very much a line ball decision, but the referee's giving him the benefit of the doubt there.
Much closer to the actual course than we are. Now it'll be Murray in at dummy half. He finds Hickson. Hickson with the headband. And look at the metres they make after contact. Every single tackle, this Bushrangers side, they're just pushing the Bulls back metres after the initial contact. And you see now that is Thomas again, Jaden Thomas. So on the last tackle they get to the 30. That's actually a pretty good defensive set from the Bulls. Picker is offside in there. Ball has also come loose in there. And despite the pleas from the Bushrangers for a penalty in there.
Disappointing end to the set for them, but gee, they're making a lot of easy ground early on.
Okay, so we're still getting a conversation about that last tap. That we'll just stay with this for a second. Rourke O'Sullivan is really grumpy. I think we can safely say grumpy is a good word there. He's wanting to know why he wasn't allowed to take the quick tap the first time and the second time, why he was forced back to take it the third time. And if the referee's ready, you can take the tap. Because it does beg the question then, why weren't you ready, sir? But I think it would be a very brave rugby league player to actually ask that question of a referee. So the Bulls, they've come away with it. Oh, there's a strip in there. They've picked it up again. Okay, so we've got now. I think this will be a zero tackle here for Madden. I'll just wait to see what the referee gives us when he finally goes to ground. Yes, that is the zero tackle. So the Bulls, there are a chance here to really make some sizable inroads. First things first, though, hang on to the ball. Second things, get through the line, and Lomax bounces out of a couple. I don't know how he got that ball away. Is that Ioane who's got it? It is Jalil Ioane, which is very, very hard to say at speed. And they're 10 metres into opposite territory. Mead's coming to dummy half. Pretty ordinary ball. He's got it back to Jake Scholes. Scholes finds Bramich. Bramich running sideways, looking for a way around the line as opposed to through it. Might make a difference. They'll continue to work it onto the far side of the ground as the kick comes forward. And it'll be a race between everyone, but the ball will win it to the touchline. And it will be the Bushrangers who'll come up with the ball on about their own 20. 18 gone, still 6-0. Who's that down with cramp for the Bushrangers? Bit early for that for mine. Murray. He's got a cramp. Oh, they're awful, the cramps in the calf. It's definitely a cramp. You can tell by the way he's poking his finger right into it to try and loosen up the knot that he's got.
Yeah, the trainer's come out. They'll do a bit of stretching, see if he can run it off. But a much better set there from the Bulls. Good kick to end the set, but they most of their attack is coming on this right side through Sheen Lomax and getting another ball away. He's probably been their best forward on field so far. And as you mentioned earlier, it's been a good battle between him and Vinici early on.
Now, I'm just wondering whether this is more than a cramp on Blake Murray, because if it was a cramp, I reckon they'd had him standing up and trying to stretch it out. The way he was trying to stretch it, I think he may have thought it was a cramp, but if that's a calf muscle, well, he's up, he's walking, doesn't appear to be any visible limp. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it was a particularly severe cramp, but gee, we're not even 25 minutes in. It's not a particularly warm day. In fact, rain's forecast for around full time in this one. So unusual to get a cramp, and the Bushrangers have put it down. I reckon it might be, is that Brophy on the far side who was trying to go on the short side, and they had a couple of extra players on there, the Bushrangers, so working the set play, blindside option from their own 20 off the scrum. Put the ball down to the Bulls. Well, this will be a really good attacking opportunity for them. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what they can throw at them now. They're inside the 20. Let's see what sort of set plays they've got going.
Well, I can tell you they won't go the blind side, Sonny. I can guarantee they won't go the blind side because they've got nobody there. They're all lined up on the near side. So it goes to Haitley, then on to Bramich. And Bramich is inside the 20, probably, well, that's the 16, it's 16 yards of soccer box. 16-yard box, he's up at the top of it. They've got numbers still across to the right. Haitley again, wasn't the best of passes. He had to prop for just a second, but he's managed to hang on to it. Inside 10 from the line, now across to the left. Through the hands to Scholes, Jake Scholes, and to Brad Scholes. Doubling up on the Scholes this afternoon. Haitley's waiting for it, as is Mead. Where do they go? They go to Haitley, has options, pops it out in front of Madden. Madden reaches forward, gets the ball. He's 3 short of the line. Very slow to his feet. They'll work the short side again. They give it to Mikhaili Ravalawa, who pops it on the outside to Todd Sherd. Sherd, a late inclusion on this side, and he's got a try. There's the whistle. Try time for the winger. Todd Sherd wasn't even named, as far as I'm aware, in the original lineup for this side, but he's got out there and he's got a meat pie this afternoon.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. And again, just a nice little short side move and a good ball there from, I think it was Ravalawa, to get his winger in the corner.
It was a very quick ball from Ravalawa. That was the impressive part about it. They'd obviously decided, the Bulls, that, well, we're going to have a sustained attack and we're going to do this repeatedly down the right-hand side. We're just going to keep hammering at the right. They came right, went back with one tackle to the left and then came back to the right and back to the right. And they kept the numbers there. And Todd Sherd, his first try for the season for the Gungahlin Bulls. Congratulations to him. I'm sure that's going to make the last training session of the year a lot warmer for him as the end of 2018 approaches.
Yeah, and for all the momentum that Tuggeranong have had in the first 20 minutes, we may be level here after 20 minutes.
How often do you see that? How often do you see that? Mind you, for them to be level, it's going to be a fairly decent conversion, because Nick Mead, he is, what do you reckon, 1.5 metres in from touch? Right on this side. There's a conversation going on about the NRL down there of the referees. You reckon they've forgotten we've got access to what they're talking about this afternoon?
As a left footer, this is your preferred side to kick on if you do have to kick from the sideline.
Well, the regular kicker for the Bulls is Jake Scholes.
He might still be feeling that earlier.
16. So, someone's just realised they're on camera. Yes, fellas. That's... well, I won't say it's the worst conversion attempt I've seen, but I think it'll be in the bottom 3 for the 2018 season.
If that's his preferred side, I'd hate to see him on the other side, to be honest.
Yes indeed, Nick. We won't dwell on that. We'll just put a little X next to your name for a missed conversion attempt. And with 22 minutes gone, we'll remark that the score is 6 points to 4 in favour of the visiting side. The Tuggeranong Bushrangers here this afternoon on Bar TV. Thank you to Bloomer's Personal Injury Lawyers as well for getting on board as sponsors of our coverage for you on Bar TV once again in 2018. Jake Scholes has the ball, so he's out there. I reckon he's still feeling the ill effects of that late bump, Jake Scholes, and wasn't confident to take the conversion, but he's obviously feeling happy enough to run on that leg. So he's out there, but it has required a little bit of a reshuffle from the Bulls. I'm just trying to work out what their structure is, because they've got Scholes out there who's the 5'8", Hately's still out there who's the halfback, and Mead's coming in as dummy half, but also seemingly playing a little bit of 5'8" as well. And I'm wondering is, so have they taken Jaleel Ioane off? Can you see him out there? Sonny, I can't spot him. So maybe that's what's happened, is Ioane's disappeared from the field for reasons I don't know. That's, oh dear, this could be dangerous. That's rebounded, unplayed at, off a...
Oh, he's going to say played at, I think.
Okay. Well, then, and there's Ioane there, so he's out there as well. So now I've got no idea. We'll just go with it.
Mead looks to be more in a floating half position. Popping in a dummy half from time to time, but also at first receiver.
Well, he's going into hooker now in the scrum. So he's called that played at. It came off, for mine, square between the shoulder blades of the Bushrangers player who was running through. Anyway, the Bulls have the ball, and they'll be bringing it out from about their, let's say, 30 out from their own line. They haven't made a great deal of ground on the first tackle. They're just going across field. Now, working across to the other side of the ground, is that Bramage with it? They make their way. Oh, boy, did you see his head slam into the turf on the tackle? See who that was. It was actually Rourke O'Sullivan who was cleaned up in the tackle there. He's okay and up and moving, so nothing to worry about. But again, just a couple of big hits from this Bushrangers side. Now Mead's ready for it on the right. Gets the ball, can turn around, had Lomax on his outside, bypassed him, picked another player, had 3 or 4 to go with, gave it to Hately instead. Hately tackled with it. Now it's Lomax, shapes to pass, decides not to, up over the 40, almost to ground, and then somehow regains his feet, comes up, he's trying to offload. He's done it a couple of times today. Bit hard when you've got 3 players wrapped around you to do that, and he finally plays the ball. That's Hately with a kick now to his own advantage on the touchline on the near side. Heyman and Gruber, good communication there. Gruber gets it. He's climbed all over by Hately. And is that Ravalawa in there as well? It is. Plenty of don't argue in there. Now the Bulls will really want to try and hold Tuggeranong, the Bushrangers, down on this set, because if they can get a set in good field position, they've actually shown that they are quite a dangerous side. Machuki this time.
Got Mead a little bit slow to his feet, just making his way back as well now.
Tuakakau was the other one. There we go, we'll get there eventually. Tuakakau it was. And now, who's that out there in the headgear? First time we've seen him this afternoon. So that's Totu. There we go. Totu in the headgear in the number 17 jersey. First time we've seen him this afternoon. I don't recall him wearing the headgear in the warm-up prior to the game. That's a big kick, but here's a big plus because Bramage is quick. All he's got to do is get around Picker and there'll be danger, but Picker it winds up not being the target, and he's fooled Thomas, but he hasn't fooled the next one. And instead it's the Bulls. Well, they're back out to the 40 on the second tackle. Now, which way do they go? Just running it from dummy half at the moment, up to halfway. That'll be the third. The 10's got a little bit bigger here, where you can actually see the 10-metre lines on the field. We've got the 10-metre zone sort of expanding and contracting like an accordion. Jake Scholes for the Bulls. 10 into opposition territory. Mead again. They're working it across to the right. They give it to Raston. Haven't seen a lot of Raston this season. That's a personal observation, not that he hasn't been out there a lot. I just don't know. I haven't seen much of him. They kick through. Oh, that's a good take by Blake Murray. Doesn't even break stride. Now he finds Tuakakau on the far side of the ground. Tuakakau gets to the 30-metre line. So, again, a good start for the Bushies. They come across to the left. They've got plenty of players that they can use. But instead, they just decide to keep the ball in hand and work it up the middle of the park. Only 35 out from their own line. They've only got a 2-point lead, and that's surprising a lot of people. That was Brophy on that run. Now they're working it across to the left, and suddenly in space was Jack Heyman, but the reason why Heyman was in space was because it was a forward pass to him, and that gave him a couple of metres advantage.
That's right, and you know, the Bushrangers might have been forced into that play. There's been some good football played from the Bulls over the last 5 to 10 minutes. They've completed their sets, and they've asked a few questions of the Bushrangers defence, so this is a just reward, and let's see what they've got 30 metres out from the Bushrangers line.
Well, the Bulls have a chance here to take the lead. One thing I liked from about their last try was that it did come from a scrum. They decided what they were going to do from the scrum, and they stuck to the book. This time they've decided again. No one on the blind side. They've stacked the open side, and they've worked it through hands. Now it's with Bramich, and Bramich is going and going up to... He's about 23 metres from the line. Are they going to work it back to the right now? There's only two players to their left. No, they're going to go to the left as they are going to run across that side from Essie Tonga. And Tonga gets inside the 20 and down to the 15. He's offloaded to a teammate in, I reckon it was O'Sullivan he got it to. Now it's Mead. He passes across, finds Raston. Raston has plenty of options on his outside. I thought we were going to see another Ravalawa special there, but it didn't quite get to him. Instead, it was Madden who was taken to ground. Now they give it to Ioane, Jaleel Ioane. He's picked up. Oh boy, could have been a penalty in there. Nick Mead blowing up in the direction of the referee. Referee saying play on. Ball goes to Raston. He pops it out the back. Picked up off the ground by Hamotama. Hamotama finds Scholes. Scholes on the outside. Gets it to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan to Solis. And they run it back on the inside now. They're only about 3 metres short of the line. Last tackle. They've been throwing it around the bit, the Bulls. Ravalawa was calling for it. Mead kicks it. Puts it into the in-goal area. And the Bushrangers are up to the task. They defuse the attack. But fast and furious footy here at Gungahlin as we get a referee's whistle.
Absolutely. That was exciting football from the Bulls. You know, again, they're looking to offload at every opportunity, and whether it be Raston or Tonga or Lomax earlier in the game, they're finding spaces and they're creating overlaps with these offloads. It does look like that Mead is taking a bit of a leadership role out there in the halves as well. He seems to be calling the shots.
Raston's been a weapon since he came out, hasn't he? He's just out there. He's out there to cause havoc. Give him the ball and just run it straight. There's nothing fancy about it. Let's see what he's got in defence. He's ready. He's picked his man. He's ready. He was up at 10. I reckon the 10's out at about a 12 now, and that could be dangerous if they give it to the man who's got Raston. And they have, and he just runs in. And it was like one of those crash test videos you see in the ANCAP studies. That was a car into a brick wall job. And I suspect it was Raston who came out on top. But the Bushrangers, they've got the ball now. They bring it up to about 25 out from their own line. Now starting to get very dark here at Gungahlin. I reckon that rain that was forecast at about 5:30 this afternoon might arrive a wee bit early. Iti now nearly to his own 40. Might have been a mistake in the play. The ball, Gruber got to it. Mitchell, they go through hands. Totu, Francis Totu runs right, then left. Offloads, gets a teammate who gets up to halfway. Watch out for the dangerous Mitchell. No, Mitchell decides to pass it back to Murray. Murray stabs the kick through. Who goes for it? Sherd leaves it. Bramich picks it up. Bramich now running across field. He's trying to find a way around the outside before he's taken right across the shoulders by Noah Venisi and goes to ground. 25 out after the first tackle for the Bulls. About 10 till halfway. This game has been a cracker. This has been a far better game of footy, especially after the first few minutes, than I was expecting this afternoon, Sonny. This has been an absolute belter. Yeah,
the Bulls have been up for it. I mean, after a poor first 10 minutes, they've cleaned up their game, and as we see them earn a penalty here now as well, and the pressure will be on the Bushrangers once again.
We did see, I'm just casting my mind back to the 2017 season here in the Osprokers Canberra Raiders Cup. We did see late in the 2017 season sides that were on top of the ladder, and I'm thinking here both the Blues and the Roos. I could probably dig it out during half time, but the Blues and the Roos, I think they both lost their last two games or something going into the finals against sides that were much lower down the pile. And I'm just wondering whether we're going to see similar things starting to happen here as some of these players start to say, you know, we are better than our position on the table reflects. What's Raston got this time? Well, he decides to pick at Totu and gets over the top of Totu. Josh Mitchell jumps on his back and brings him to the ground. So that's 2 tackles, and they're only 3 metres out. Who do they give it to? Haitley. Now around the outside, they find Ravalawa. We saw this before with Sherd, but the Bushrangers are awake to it this time. A little bit of mucking around in the play of the ball just to slow them up a bit. Ravalawa again, the Fijian World Cup squad member. He's about 5 short of halfway, of the try line rather. Now they come across to the left. Haitley, long ball, gets it across to Jake Scholes. Another long ball, juggled by Rocco Sullivan. It's a very hard kick into the in-goal area. It's taken by, I think it's Gruber there. He's brought to ground once, he's brought to ground a second time. Now where are they going to rule him tackled? First contact grounded, I've heard sneak through there, so this will come back, I think, under the posts for a line dropout. Hang on. Okay, so we've had the explanation there. He was on the ground there. He had a hand on him. I've called held. So this for mine should be a line dropout. This should be coming back.
And that's where it looks like it's going.
It is very, very slow.
But again, another enterprising set and attack from the Bulls, and I'm liking seeing Ravalawa with the ball on any occasion. He looks threatening when he gets one-on-one.
I like the look of Ravalawa. I like the look of Raston. I'd like to see, and I don't know whether it would slow them up in line speed, but I'd like to see Raston and Lomax out there at the same time with Ravalawa and then the very speedy Sherd on the outside. I think that could be a real winning combination for this Bulls side. It did eventually wind up being the line dropout they were expecting, and they've given it to the human wrecking ball in Willie Raston. And he gets to the 30 on the first tackle. Now it's Cronin's turn. Cronin brought to ground on the 20. Raston's ready for another one. They don't give it to him. They go through the halfback, through Haitley. Now, I reckon he was passing that. Nope, it's been called as a drop, as a knock forward or a drop ball. I thought he might have been passing it and it was slapped down, but the referee, again, as we always say, closer than we are, and he said, no, it was just put down.
Yeah, they got in their way a little bit there, and a little bit disappointing for them. They had a period there of some sustained pressure, but the Bushrangers, they've got a bit of work to do here to get out of trouble. They had a close call against last place Belconnen last week, and they don't want to get into too much of an arm wrestle here with the Bulls because they'll be up for it.
Apologies for the odd little...
Just as I say, that was another error off the scrum.
Jeez. Now the Bulls are playing on with this. Oh, this is clever from Ravalawa. Watch this. He's kicked it to his own advantage. That's almost Brett Mullins in his Canberra Raiders heyday-esque. And he gets to about 3 metres short of the line. Oh, that was magnificent play. It deserves a try as an end result. Will they get it? Haitley brought the ball up in the air and he's lost it forward. Oh, dearie me. From the spectacular to the awful in 10 seconds.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen that. Playing the advantage off the scrum, a little chip and chase for himself. I said I wanted to see him with the ball more in hand. And
you didn't say anything about more with the ball on foot.
He's exciting when he gets the ball in hand. Love to see him get more involved as the game goes on, because I think he's going to be a big threat out on this right edge.
Now, I reckon there might be a few drops of rain falling. A couple of indicators for it. One is there's an umbrella down at ground level. The other is that the grandstand's starting to rapidly fill here as people make their way up from the open spaces to the undercover seating, the elevated seating here. So that could make it very interesting. Could also make it very difficult to score points as this afternoon goes on, because we haven't had a lot of rain in Canberra this winter. So we could see this ground bog up fairly quickly because we're just not used to water on the grounds. So it could happen. We'll see how it goes. But right now it's the Bushrangers making it out from their own end of the field. They're on the 40. That was Picker receiving the ball as he pops it away to Totu. And Totu, once again, making a few metres. They're not making as many metres after the initial contact as they were in the first 10 minutes. So I wonder whether they're just tiring a little after a very physical first 35 minutes of this game. Kick goes downfield. It should be Bramich who picks it up eventually in the in-goal area. He's let it roll too long. He might be in trouble. Gets himself back into the field of play. I know what he was doing. He was hoping that it was going to continue to roll and roll dead. The end goal area is fairly shallow at this Gungahlin enclosed oval. But it didn't go that far. Bramich judged it well and was still able to get back into the field of play. And now, well, the Bulls, with 4 minutes 48 till the break, they're bringing it out from their own line again. Just the 10 points scored so far was a try to Noah Vanisi, converted by Josh Mitchell, which opened things up for us about 4 minutes in. And then Todd Sherd replied for the Gungahlin Bulls. What was that, about 25-minute mark, that try to Todd Sherd. 20th minute, there we go. So it wasn't converted. It was Nick Mead on the touchline with the conversion attempt. That's some good skill there from Ryan Cronin. He had no right to hold on to that ball, but he managed to do so. Bulls have held on to possession, and the kick will come from just short of halfway by Haitley. Underneath the Tuakakau, he's dropped it, but it's gone backwards, no problem at all, as he turns around and tries to go straight up the middle of the park, evades the first tackle. But, I've been impressed with Nick Mead. He's in absolutely everything, and now making the good tackle. Could have gone close to giving away a penalty in there, and indeed then does give away a penalty. It was the first little bit of niggle he got away with. The second one, not so much. And so the Bushies, they'll have a penalty from about their own 25, and they're not mucking around either, are they, Sonny?
No, and this is a big set coming up. They've been on their own line and under pressure for the last 10-15 minutes, so this will be the first attacking set they'll get inside the Bulls half in quite some time.
Well, 3.5 minutes remaining. They'll probably only get two more shots, or two shots, including this one, before the break, as Noah Vanisi was in everything for the first 15 minutes of the game. Has faded a little bit since then. Now they work it across to the left. Just up over halfway. And they give it across again. Coming through. Just working it slowly but surely. Vanisi again. Now it's with Murray. Murray runs across field. He pops it out, finds David Fa'iti. Up to the 30-metre mark. Now Mitchell pops it across. He finds Hickson. Hickson has support from Picker. Picker finds Totu. And now the little grubber kick comes through. Just taking a bump on the way through was Brophy. Ball's come forward for mine, and it has. Referee agrees. Could have been a try in the far corner there to Tuggeranong, but it was for mine a knock-on. Did you see it that way, Sonny?
Yeah, I did. I mean, the referees made a decision on the spot, so it's good to see the referees have the confidence to make those calls.
It's great when the referees make those calls quickly. That was the recurring theme of last week's conversation. We shan't dwell on it any further. I will give a quick bit of a plug. I'm calling the Raiders game for Mix FM here in Canberra tonight, and we will be hearing from Bill Harrigan on that tonight. We're also going to be hearing from, I thought this was interesting, we've tracked down a former NRL touch judge, 100-game touch judge Michael Jones. Now, I don't know the last time I ever interviewed a touch judge, if I've ever done that, but we've got that for tonight on the Mix 106.3 coverage, pre-game from 7 o'clock on the radio this evening. So have you ever heard a touch judge interviewed, Sonny?
I haven't. I hope he brings his flag with him.
Well, we're going to ask him about a few things during the lead-up to that game this evening. Of course, the Raiders playing the Melbourne Storm. Raiders needing to win everything that confronts them and still rely on a little bit of luck over the next few weeks to maybe just squeak into the NRL playoffs. The Bulls here, they're looking very, very good this afternoon. They're certainly not looking like a 7th place side. That's a good kick from Haitley. It bounces towards the sideline, picked up by Gruber, and they're going to try and throw him over the sideline. He's popped it out the back to Tuggeranong, and I don't know who was ready for it or whether it was just telepathy, but the Bushrangers have done well to stay alive with that bit of play, and now we've got a whistle. And there's a bit of push and shove happening as well. Just keep an ear on what's being said. No, and it all goes quiet. Don't you love that when you say we'll keep an ear on what's being said and suddenly it all goes quiet down there at ground level?
I think that one might have been for a high tackle.
Well, it was.
But what a turnaround that was. You had, potentially the Bulls about to get a scrum feed 20 metres out from the goal line with a minute to play, and there's a miracle pass that stays in. The Bushrangers get a penalty from that, and now they'll get the last chance to attack in this half.
Half a minute remaining till the break, and this would be the second tackle for the Bushrangers. Dan Hickson, the man taking them up to the 30-metre line. Which way do they go? It's across to the right and then a running play back to the left. Ball comes out wide. Waiting for it is Martin. Martin, two of them set upon him and bring him to ground. 15 seconds remaining. Messi play the ball. They get away with it. Murray puts the kick high and across field. Now underneath it, I reckon Solis is the man that's been knocked to the ground. I'm not sure which way it's been knocked. We'll wait and see the verdict. The verdict is knocked on by the Bushrangers there. The siren sounds and we'll hear the short blast on the whistle. There they are. And at the break it is 6 points to 4. The Tuggeranong Bushrangers over the Gungahlin Bulls. I'll be honest, Sonny, before this game I was expecting to be about a 20 or 26-point margin by half-time, so a 2-point break. Well, we're in for a cracking second half.
Absolutely. It's been very, very entertaining football. I think the Bulls have definitely showed up to play. The first 10 minutes they were a bit sketchy, made a lot of errors, but they really worked their way into this game. They didn't take too much damage in that first 10, only going 6-0 down, but no, they're playing some very enterprising football. I think for the Bushrangers, they've just got to be a little bit more patient. They've given away a couple of penalties and a few more drop balls than the Bulls have, but they'll get their opportunities in the second half.
Indeed. So just if you haven't caught the tries, and you can wind back, of course, while the halftime break's on if you want and have a bit of a look at them. It was Noah Vanisi who started things off with about the easiest try I've seen in the Ospreys Cup all this season for Noah Vanisi. It was, he just ran from about 4 metres out and went through without a hand being laid upon him. He just plonked the ball over the line. That was after 4 minutes, and it did look like the expected landslide was going to happen. 6-0 a moment later with the conversion. But then the game just slowly but surely changed as the Bulls fought their way more and more into it. And we got to the 20-minute mark, and suddenly the Bulls had a scrum from about the 20-metre mark on the far side of the field, and they didn't set up anyone on the blind side. They brought everyone across to the right, and they just kept working the ball across to the right. They went across to the right for, I think it was 2 plays, then went back to the left for 1 towards the posts. Then there was a play to the right, and then a very quick set of hands. They went through 2 or 3 sets, and a lightning ball from Michaeli Ravalawa into the arms of Todd Shirt, who dived over and scored right in the corner to make it 6-4, and that's all we've had in the first half.
Yeah, and it was a deserved try as well for the Bulls. I mean, you look back at that half, and you'd almost go as far as saying that they were the better side. They may be 2 points down, but they had the majority of the possession. Their discipline has been a little bit off. They have conceded 7 penalties in that one half compared to the Tuggeranong 2 penalties, but for the most part they've had the better run of possession in the right field position, and they've really made Tuggeranong work hard out of their own end.
The question is, what can they bring in the second half? Because you can bet your bottom dollar that the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, well, they're on top of the table, and they're not on top of the table for no reason. They'll come up with something new. They'll discuss something in the sheds and come up with something different. Who's got enough in the tank to take it home? Well, this intriguingly poised game will continue shortly. Half-time, it's the home side Gungahlin Bulls 4, the visiting Tuggeranong Bushrangers 6. You're on Bar TV, the second half, just a couple of minutes away. The Tuggeranong Bushrangers have made their way back out onto the Gungahlin enclosed oval, the home side, the Gungahlin Bulls. They won't be too far away. 6 points to 4 is the lead for the Bushies over the Bulls. There is some shower activity in the area. I'm told that you can actually see it far better on the screen than we can here live in action. We did say we'd go through the lineups. We didn't really get a chance to do that, but we were also uncertain of how some of these things were going to, some late changes were going to affect it. But Sonny, maybe just a quick couple of key players out of those lineups.
Yeah, if we go through the Gungahlin lineup, we know that Bramich is playing out at fullback. Sherd started on the wing there in place of I think it was Cronin. Ravalava now is number 4. The halves are Scholes and Haitley. Ioane's playing at hooker, and Hamotama is playing at lock. For Tuggeranong, Gruber at fullback, Heyman, Brophy, Martin, Tui Kakao, Murray, Picker, Hickson, Mitchell, Vanisi, Nchuki, Faititi, Afamui, Neil, Thomas, Antonio, and Totu.
So the second 40 gets underway as the sun breaks through at Gungahlin enclosed oval, and it is the Bushrangers running now to the southern end, the car park end of the Gungahlin enclosed oval. They're in the blue, it's the Bulls in the red. As we see what they've got, I wonder whether they're going to give up on this or just cut down on the running it straight up the middle, and whether we might see this Bushy side throw it around a little bit more in the second 40. We'll see what they've got. At this stage, the slightly longer balls from dummy half, but no real throwing it around, but they are still inside their own territory as the kick comes from Mitchell down into the corner. So, Bramich takes it right in the corner of the field, and oh dear, he's got a lot of blue jumpers to try and get through, and in the end decides probably the smartest thing to do is just sort of dive into the tackle, and does so. So maybe about 10 metres out from his own end of the field. Now it's Solis. Nick Solis.
Good there, Andrew, real good.
Seeing Raston getting back on side, slowly getting back on side. We've heard a whisper that there may not be much love lost between the two number 16s in this game either, Willie Raston and Fabian Antonio. And I'm just looking to see if Antonio's out there in the 16 for the Bushrangers. Indeed he is. He was in that last tackle, which is why he wasn't in the defensive line. And now a high tackle. So it'll be the Bulls to get another penalty. What did you say it was at half-time, about 7-2, that penalty count?
Yeah, that's right. 7 penalties the Bulls had conceded and 2 for the Bushrangers in the first half.
So the Bulls get a penalty, and this is about where they've shown they're dangerous. The problem is that they forget to continue to be dangerous about 5 metres from their own, from the line. So how did Ravalava hang on to that ball? They had the arm up periscope style and managed to hang on to the pill. Hamotama across to the right. Raston has it, straightens, then decides to offload, finds Cronin. Second week in a row I've been calling a game with a Cronin in it. I think it was Brian and Ryan we had last week. Brian last week, Ryan this week. To the left they go. Scholes. Only a couple of metres out. O'Sullivan's ready for it, as is Solis, but I think they're going to go back the other way. It was Essie Tonga making the final run. It was. Now it was Scholes. Gives it to Haitley. Haitley runs back from whence the ball came. Puts it out the back door. Picked up off the ground by Mead. Referee says it's okay, but that one's knocked on. And it's going to be a scrum to the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. Yeah, so we had Brian Cronin in the number 3 jersey for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos last week, and we've got Ryan Cronin in number 15 for the Bulls this week. Job lot. Referee's directing the traffic once again, and it's the Bushrangers bringing the ball out from their own end of the ground. That was far Ite, and now Matt Gruber, and they're trying to unscrew his head in there, I think. And then they decide, as Nick Mead joins in a little bit further, to try and unscrew his leg as well, but no damage done, and he winds up tackled on the 40. And making it slow progress, this Bushrangers side. Antonio was the dummy runner. Instead it was Picker who had it on the halfway line. Now it's to Totu. Totu, well, literally bounced out of that tackle, didn't he? Went in, came straight back out. Makes another 10 metres, so he's just inside the 30. Last tackle, says the referee. Across to the right, Picker, kick. Interesting kick. Bramich takes it high, lands straight into the arms of Livanite Karkow.
Yep, good.
And they're trying to make it out from their own end of the ground. That was Solis who had it there. They're working numerically, so it was Bramich to Solis, and now it was O'Sullivan who's lucky to still be standing. Now they go back to Solis again. They're still inside the 30. The rain seems to have stopped. There might be just enough grease on the ground for someone to try a 40-20 if they're clever about this. The Bulls side, they get outside the 40 with Cronin slammed on the ground. Fifth and last is the call from the referee. So they pop it back. Now it goes, oh dear. Oh, they nearly made a complete hash of it. The kick's gone through. Haitley's going to chase it and a knock on. It's been picked up by Mika Ravalawa. If he can get around the fullback, he'll score under the post. He will score under the post. Oh, magnificent opportunistic football from the home side, the Gungahlin Bulls. Try from nothing and they've got the lead, 8 points to 6. That's remarkable.
That's fantastic football. They got a little bit fortunate with the fifth tackle option there, but the key to any good kick is a good chase, and they followed it up well. They got a little bit fortunate with the error from the fullback. And it's just a bit of more razzle-dazzle from Ravalawa once again.
He's done well. He's got the try assist of the day, and now he's got the... I don't know whether I'd call it the try of the day. I still prefer the Todd Sherd one from the first half, but certainly opportunistic football. We talked about it for a minute or two in the first half about how you can actually pay. You can pay for your mistakes very, very quickly, and I don't think the Bushrangers were expecting to pay for a mistake in quite that manner, but they certainly did.
It's been a lot of ad-lib football from the Bulls, and with that, as we mentioned earlier, they've made a number of mistakes, but. They've created a lot of opportunities for themselves as well, and it's paid off for them there.
Well, I can tell you, I'm looking forward to the next few minutes because, when you go to the zoo and you see the sign on the cage, say the lions or the bears or whatever, it says, "Do not feed the animals." And there's the old thing about poking the bear with a stick. When a side that's down at the bottom end of the table is up against the side at the top of the table and takes a lead 5 minutes after half time. That's sort of the rugby league equivalent, I think, of poking the bear with a stick or throwing some pies around just out of the Lions' reach. I reckon that this Bushrangers side might just have a few things up their sleeve in the next few minutes. Wait for the conversion.
And now.
There we go. We hear the whistle, and we have the conversion. And so it's 10 points to 6 in favour of the home side. This will be a famous victory for this Gungahlin Bulls side if they can get it. They've been have had celebrations few and far between during the course of this 2018 Ospreakers Canberra Raiders Cup competition this season.
That's right, and this is foreign territory for the Bushrangers. They've been so dominant throughout the entire season, and they wouldn't be used to having to come from behind here. So this will be a good test for them leading into the finals.
Well, Raston's got it, and I guess of all the players out there for the Bulls, he'd be the one you'd like to have bringing it back, either Raston or Lomax. Like I said, I'd like to see them both out there at one time. We might get that wish a little bit later on this afternoon. Solis up to the 20, and that's on the second. They are really playing like a side possessed right now. Tell you what, I can't wait to dial that try from Ravalawa up again and have another look at it. That was really impressive football. The more I think about it, the better it looks in my mind's eye. I hope it stacks up when I get to check it out again a bit later on this evening.
He's a sight for sore eyes in open play, isn't he?
Oh, it's fantastic stuff. That's Ryan Cronin, fifth and last. What are they going to do on the last tackle this time? Bear in mind, too, that's the other thing. We haven't really returned to that, but they nearly made a hash of it on the last tackle about 15 seconds before that try, too. It was a kick from nothing where there was a lot of pressure put on the kicker, too, that led to the drop ball. And now they've come up with the ball again off a pretty ordinary last tackle kick. So it's Hamo Tama, and he's still going. Oh, this could get really interesting here. Cross to the right, Haitley. At the top of the soccer penalty box. They're looking to the left. Well, no surprise, it's Raston the man. Gets an offload, finds Jake Scholes. Scholes, oh, he's going, look at that, he's got straight through, he's got to the line, he's got it over, I reckon he's got that down. Wow, he has, the referee says he's got it down, he's checked with the touchies. Oh, it's on, 2 tries in 3 minutes for the Bulls. And don't they look happy? And what a lot of work there from Jake Scholes, a man who I suspect is a little bit tender in the right leg after copping a bump after a kick.
And again, it's off second man play. Just another offload there. I think it was from Raston to get the play started, and they're just keeping the ball alive at every opportunity, and they're just finding space. Some good stepping from Scholes to get himself over the line, but some worrying signs for the Bushrangers early in this second half.
Well, it's not. There's plenty of analysis going on down there between the touch judges and the referee. I'm not sure how loud you're hearing it in the background. It's coming through okay, but it wasn't just me and you, Sonny, wondering how Scholes had managed to get through there and get that ball down. It's impressed the touch judges as well, and I think I'm having to move that one to the top of the pile for try of the day.
Yeah, no, it's always good to watch. You know, that this Bull side, they've come into this game, that they've been very willing to just throw the ball around and play some ad-lib football. It's very entertaining to watch, but it's causing all sorts of havoc for the Bushrangers.
So they've got 2 tries from. I'm quite happy to say this. They've got 2 tries relatively quickly off pretty poor 6 tackle options. It's a cruel game. This game of rugby league. And now with that conversion, they go to a 10-point break, 16 points to 6. What they can't afford to do is to shut up shop. They can't say, well, we've got a 10-point break, let's just defend here now. This Bushrangers side can score 4 tries in 10 minutes.
There's plenty of points in this Bushrangers side, and there's half an hour to go, so this is not the time to shut up shop.
Of course, the other thing is, we've actually seen now what can happen when this Bulls side can hold on to the ball. And they've given it to Raston once again to run it back out from deep in the in goal, and he does so and gets out to beyond 10 metres. Loving this afternoon. Essie Tonga gets an offload away in the tackle. He found Mead was standing there. And now it's Lomax, so I think that's Lomax, and if it is, I've got my wish. We've got the big 16 and the big 17. The double battering ram attack could be on this afternoon. Jamal Nachuki. Where are you? We need him in defence. He's there. That's what I'm looking for. We've got Nachuki's lined up on Raston now. And the other matchup I want to see Antonio lined up tackling on Lomax. So let's see if this happens, because that's going to be exciting. Okay, now the kick this time. That's a pretty good kick from Haitley. It's got around the Bushrangers fullback. He picks it up in the end goal there. He slipped over. Oh, he's going to get back in the field of play just. A good chase up from the Bulls.
That's a great set of 6 after points. Get to your kick, pin them in the corner, and you start again.
Now, can they hold the Bushrangers down? Well, they're going to need to tackle better than that. Oh, dear, danger, 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 danger. One more. No, but I reckon if he'd pinned his ears back and gone straight there to Akakao, it would have been a better run. They just look a little bit directionless out there. Now, this man, I called him out before, Jamal Nachuki. I don't think he's been out there for a while, so good to see him getting out there. He's made some ground now. He's given it to Mitchell. Mitchell's through the first line. He's through the second line. He's only got the fullback to beat. Oh, boy, he's been sandwiched and brought to ground. He's about 8 out. The Bulls' defence in disarray. They can work it across to the left. They'll score here. The Bushrangers, if they keep going, they don't. They turn it back and they nearly put it down. Kick comes across field. It'll be Solis to fly. Ball goes to ground. It's been picked up by 11-eye Turkakau, but there's a penalty. Oh, boy, that's a huge call. That is a huge call, Sonny Singh.
Look, I'll have to watch the replay later on, but I think the referee's got this decision right. It might have been one of those 50-50 ones where the Bushrangers might have been half-heartedly going for the ball, half-heartedly trying to make the tackle, but maybe one for the replay. Big decision, though.
Well, there was certainly enough body contact in there to warrant it, but boy, that's a gutsy call. I'm not going to say he's got it wrong, but it's a very brave call. And the Bulls, well, they can just, I reckon there'll be a few sighs of relief in there. What have we got? 26 minutes remaining. They've got a 10-point break. If they score again, it'll be really exciting. Raston turns it around. He's popped it onto the chest of Cronin. Cronin finds a little gap, turns it into a big gap, makes it to 5 metres short of halfway. They're playing like a top of the table side, the Bulls. They turn it, going with Mead again. Mead had a couple on his outside, held onto it himself. Just into opposition territory. Interference in the play of the ball. There's got to be a whistle, got to be a penalty. There he is. Jake Scholes is asking for someone to go to the bin for that, I think. He put the hands up. Scholes, I'm sure he put the hands up for the 10. I don't think he was signalling anything else.
That's a third penalty they've given away so far this half, but again, it's Mead really getting his hands dirty today, and he's showing a lot of leadership in this side.
Now there's 2 balls on the field. We have to wait for a second here for this to clear up. O'Sullivan takes the tap, gives it to Hately. Hately to Raston. Raston finds Tonga. Essie Tonga. Oh, but the forward pass to him was forward. Tonga was away for all money. And they've murdered a try there. There was... I don't think there's any doubt that it would have been a try. They've absolutely butchered that with a forward pass.
Yeah, look, it was a nice-looking play. If the last pass was backwards, it was a very nice set play off a tap restart.
Gee, they're dangerous in set play, this Bulls side. I'm loving this. I'm enjoying this.
It's just good to see with a side that's got nothing to lose. Just throw the ball around, have a bit of fun. You know, this is what football's all about.
What a contrast from last week. Now, last week we saw the Queanbeyan Derby, a game I was expecting to be a fairly low-scoring, really physical, defensive-dominated affair. And instead it wound up with, what did we get, 76 points or thereabouts scored in the 80 minutes. This week, I think most people were expecting this one to be, look, let's be blunt, pretty one-sided, and the side in blue absolutely dominating. And they did for the first 10 minutes, and then the Bulls pulled it back. For the next 10 it was about level, and then we saw the Bulls just playing the better football for the second half of the first half and probably the first 10 minutes here. Now, the Bushrangers have picked it up a bit here, but it's still only, 16-6. So we've got 22 points have been scored in this game. I think that's well under the what we would have been expecting for it.
That's a big touch finder from Josh Mitchell. They're out here. It's about 25 metres out from the goal line. There's a chance to bite back now.
They're lined up very, very deep, the Bushies. They give it across on a couple of passes to David Fa'iti. He's 16 or so metres from the line. They come to the right. Venisi scored the first try. In fact, the only try for the Bushrangers so far today. Had another one taken off him. Turned out to be a controversial decision later on, couldn't it? Pick up, pops the ball around. They've hung on to it. I don't know who it was who got the ball because he was cleaned up just as he got it, managed to grab hold of it. Was it Isi Afamui? Not sure. Anyway, they'll continue. It was Brent Neal, it was. There we go. So Neal's coming to play dummy half. Now they come across to the left. The Bushrangers turn it back around. Little bit of a juggle. If they score from this, it'll be disgraceful because the Bulls should have had him wrapped up. They had 3 men, but he was still making metres. Last tackle. What's the option? The kicking option is way too deep. So the Bulls, they'll come back out to the 20 and they'll get 7 tackles here. A little bit of luck for the Bulls there, but hey, sometimes you've got to be lucky and good.
Yeah, that's an uncharacteristic kick from Mitchell there. He started the game very, very well directing play, and he's kind of gone in and out more as the game's progressed. But I think a lot of that is down to how the Bulls have been playing. I think this ad-lib style of football is really throwing the Bushrangers off.
It's hard to defend against it. If the attacking side don't really have a plan for what they're doing, it's very hard to defend against it. That's O'Sullivan taking it to the 40. Now they'll go to the halfway line, and that for mine I think is tackle 3. Raston, gee, he's just dangerous, and he's coming off for a bit of a rest now, so he'll get 10 minutes off and he'll come back on for the last 10, you'd reckon. Scholes with the kick into the corner. Oh, it's been allowed to bounce and it goes dead over the sideline, I think. My view was, believe it or not, actually obstructed by the only thing that could possibly obstruct it from where I'm sitting, which is the handrail. I'd moved back and it'll go dead in goal. Anyway, it's gone dead in goal. And they're back to the 20, so this will be a 7 tackle set now for the Bushrangers.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there for Hately. The ball took a vicious bounce, and as opposed to going over the sideline, they've got a 7 tackles set to restart now.
I thought it was heading for the sideline and just took that last second turn. Now penalty for the Bushrangers. They're going to kick this up to us somewhere here in the grandstand by the looks of it. No, just short. They're going to get a good run at this now, though, the Bushies. They're going to do it from the 40-metre line. Set play time, you'd think, is just about upon them.
You just get the feeling that momentum is starting to shift a little bit more in the Bushrangers' favour now.
Big hit on Neal, though. Great work by Skidmore to come in and be the second man in and assisted Ioane in the tackle. Now they're set up. They're going to bring it across to... or they're going to run it instead. Going forward is Antonio, Fabian Antonio. What a great name for a footballer. Up inside the 20. They come across to the right again. Venici pops it back to Picker. Has to stop for a second. Gives it to Nachuki. Nachuki bounces out of the first tackle. Taking him around the legs, though, is Scholes. Can't run without legs, is the old saying. Run from dummy half. It's to Brophy. Brophy had to go on the outside. Couldn't give it to him. Last tackle again, so the defence from the Bulls remains steadfast. Picker. Oh, can he kick it to anyone's advantage? Well, he kicks it back. Now, what's going to happen here? Ravalawa's got it. We wait for the excitement meter to go off, and it goes off! He's going to go 100 metres and put it down under the posts. He's going, he looks over his shoulder, he makes sure the referee's there, and it's a 100-metre try, and I'm happy to give him the man of the match at this point as well. What a day he's having down there, Miko Ravalawa. Oh, an excitement machine.
Well, what a turnaround. 100-metre effort. Mick Picker puts in a pretty ordinary kick that finds you in goal, but all the chasers were expecting something a little bit deeper, I think. And Ravalawa takes it, runs the length of the field, and once he got into the open field, nobody was going to catch him.
I saw it coming. I saw it coming off the kick from Picker. I said the kick was pretty ordinary because there was nobody there, and I just looked, and as it was going to Ravalawa, I've looked up and there was a gap of about 10 feet to his left. And I thought, if he sees this gap, it's on for young and old. And it was. He's got great vision. Wowee, that's amazing. That is amazing. Love it. There's still 20 minutes to go in this. And this Bushrangers side, don't write them off just yet. And it'll be exciting now because they don't want to lose. They will not want to lose this one, but gee, they're going to do it tough. That's for sure.
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether the game plan changes or not, because at the moment the Bulls are running them ragged.
It was quite literally a 100-metre try. It might have been 99. He might have picked it up a metre in the field of play, but I reckon he picked it up on the goal line and just went the whole way.
It's a fantastic effort. Read the kick beautifully, picked it up cleanly, beat a couple of defenders, and then, like I said, once he got into open field, it was over.
And with the conversion, they take it out to a, what's that make it? 22 points to 6. So Scholes with the conversion. He's been converting in the second half, so what's he got? 3?
He's got 3 from 3.
You got to feel sorry for Nick Mead. He got the hard one, missed it, and had the job taken off him in the second period.
I was glad he took the foot off the accelerator. It was the other way. I looked good.
There we go. I was right. He did take the foot off the accelerator to make sure the referee was there.
Thanks for responding there.
So Jake Scholes with a conversion and 3 tries for the day. Sorry, let's go the other way. A try and 3 conversion, I should say, for the day. He breaks into double figures. 22-6, 17 minutes and 45 seconds remaining.
That's a great take off the kickoff. He made it difficult for himself, but he took it well.
Positions are badly. Oh, big hit. Who's put that out there? That's Izzy Afamui has gone for the big hit. We might see a few of those now from this Tuggeranong Bushrangers side. They might decide to make the tackles hurt a bit more. And they do go in hard again.
It's Antonio with his second big hit of the set, I think.
Antonio in low, Venici in high. The Bulls, they're making metres. Now there's a whistle. You're coming over the top. Referee says it. So now it's a penalty to the Bulls. I know you're keeping some rough stats there this afternoon. It was 7-2 at half time. What's that penalty count now?
That is now up to 11-3.
11-3. No, other way around.
Right.
Go the other way. I'll let you do the maths in a second. Sorry, Sonny, I know I put you on the spot there, but it was 7-2 to the Bushrangers at half time.
So got 9-6.
9-6. So it's certainly levelling up as the game goes on. Now Cronin to the 30 for the Bulls. What else have they got? What's in their bag of tricks? Come on, show us all of it this afternoon. It's the last chance on Bar TV with the commentary for the season for the Bulls. So show us what you got, boys. That was Brad Scholes. Jake Scholes pops it outside to Bramich. Bramich finds O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan puts it out the back to Solis, who can't quite hang on to it. He'd overrun it, really. desperate attempt. It was either get a hand on it and knock it on, or see it sailing over the sideline. Either way, it'll be the same result. Probably take marginally longer to get the scrum packed after the knock-on.
Again, they found an overlap, though. They created the extra man on the blind side, and if that pass goes to hand, they find themselves in a bit of space once again.
They're making this Bushrangers side look very ordinary. And I tell you, if you're one of the other sides in the top 4, you'd sit there and you'll watch this tape a few times before the final series starts, just to say, well, if we're up against Tuggy, we'll see what we can do. Next week, haven't we got a game in the offing next week now? Because I reckon top spot might be up for grabs.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, I think the Roos would be looking at this tape and seeing how the ad-lib football is just impacting this Bushrangers gameplay.
We've got that next week. We're back at Sears Workwear Oval. Just the way the draw's working out, I think we're going to see the Queanbeyan Kangaroos several times in the final few weeks of this season before the finals get underway. We've seen the kick downfield. Only other score I've been advised of today is that at half-time it's Yass 6-0 over West Belconnen. And again, I won't say that was a result that I'd be expecting to turn into it, but Yass, well, they need to win today to keep any hope of a final spot alive, as we see a knock-on. So the table coming into today, you had Tuggeranong 3 points clear of the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. Now, if the Roos win today and the Bushrangers lose today, oh, hang on. Well, the Roos playing today. The Roos at the bye today, don't they?
I think so.
So the Roos get the bye. They go to 25. Bushrangers 26. Top spots on offer next week at Sears Workwear Oval. You want to see a great game of footy?
It'll be a wonderful game.
Oh, and it's an awkward ground to do commentary at. I think I've been on the record for that. But I can tell you one other thing about that ground. It's a great ground to watch footy at as a spectator.
You see the Bushrangers cough up the ball on first tackle as well.
Jeez, it's a great place to watch footy from, because you can watch it from inside the club, inside the Queanbeyan Kangaroos Leagues Club, or you can go down to ground level. You can sit around. You can watch it from end on. It's got some great tiered stuff around the end. So I'd strongly suggest, if you want some footy next weekend, get out there. Don't just sit at home and watch it on Bar TV. Next weekend, that could determine the minor premiership. It's going to be a cracker. So get along and check it all out. Now that's Madden. Bringing it up for the Bulls as we return to action. 13 minutes remaining. 16 points the difference. Kick comes through. Haitley is chasing. Gerber gets there. Ball was out in the field of play. I liked how Gruber managed to... The whole body went sliding in. He's just grounded the ball and he's used it as a pivot and sort of spun around upon it.
He's done a good job there, but there's another great kick from Haitley. He's had a couple tonight.
I've said in sport, when you've got more, and you need more points than minutes remaining in rugby league, you've got issues. It's sort of like in baseball, when when you need more runs than you've got outs remaining, you've also got problems. So this Bushrangers side, well, they're going to need to work pretty hard here. 13 minutes to go. 16 points is the difference. So they need 3 tries. They give it to Fabian Antonio. There's no love lost between Antonio and Raston from what we're hearing, and I reckon Lomax isn't the biggest Antonio fan either, going by the way Lomax was jumping all over him. And he's given away the penalty in there. Quick conversation between Mr. Lomax and the referee. Gee, flashbacks to 1994 when I hear that phrase. And now it's a penalty. 12 and a half remaining. We could get the grandstand. We could get the grandstand finish, but we may not. They've coughed it up, the Bushrangers, on the first tackle from the restart, and it's picked up by Luke Skidmore for the Bulls.
It's not the first time today, and they compound it with a penalty now, and now there's a bit of push and shove.
Here it comes, players rushing in. Now, that's very good play. Who's that who's come in? I reckon that's Brad Scholes, who's just come in. He's grabbed Luke Skidmore and dragged him away. We don't need this.
That's it. Not when you're 22 to 6 points up.
Just stay away. We've just got the penalty. Don't do anything silly. We've got this top of the table side on the back foot. And they really are. And that's a monster kick from inside his own half down to, I'm going to say, just outside the 20. And I think they've been shortchanged just quietly. I reckon that went another 5 metres. Scholes, Brad, into the soccer penalty box. Mead comes into dummy half. He's been impressive this afternoon as well. Across to the right, Skidmore. Skidmore still going, thinks to offload. Doesn't have to. They don't have to do anything fancy at this point. Just hang on to the pill and the opportunities will come. Lomax just short of the line. They'll come left. Goes to Jake Scholes. To Brad Scholes. On his outside is O'Sullivan. He can't get the ball away, but he's still going. O'Sullivan's following him. Yeah, Jake Scholes with him as well. Now there's Mead. Where's the gap? The gap's a bit too far to the right. They go for the short play instead to Mead. There is a gap to the right of the posts. Precision kick here, and there could be trouble. Where's the kick come? Scholes instead goes for the grubber. Wrong option. Picked up by the Bushrangers and they get away. Did you see that gap it was a good 15-metre gap just to the right of the upright, Sonny? It was there. It was on.
I did, but it was a very good pickup from, it might have been Gruber, but it was a very, might not have been the best kick, but it was a very good pickup on his toes to get out of the in-goal.
It was a low percentage play, but again, it does mean that the, oh boy, crunched. Does mean that the Bushrangers are bringing it out from deep in their own territory. I think it was Izzy Afamui who got flattened there. And now it's Dan Hickson for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. And they're still inside their own 20. Jamal Nachuki bounces out of one tackle, brought to the ground just outside the 20 in the middle of the park. And I can't recall seeing Tuggeranong much this season held inside their own 20 for a full set and have to kick from on their own 20. And they do so. Pretty good kick, taken by Bramich. I'm not sure about his catching style. You know, he's made a couple of them look more awkward than they should be. He's taken on his own 40 and he's got inside the other 40 with it. Oh, wasn't looking, was Mead. He's got a call in the last second. Reflex and muscle memory have kicked in and he's managed to grab the pill. Centre of the park on the 30. Second tackle. There's a gap straight up the middle. They don't go that way. They give it to Cronin. And Ryan Cronin gets to the 20. The Bushrangers starting to look a little bit tired. They've had to do a lot of defending. That might have been forward to Skidmore. He gets inside the 20, keeps going. Brought to ground. 14 short of the line. Mead at dummy half, runs it himself. Telegraphed to pass, but I don't think he was ever going to offload at all. Now they come across to the right. Madden. He's put the ball down now. Has that gone backwards? No, it hasn't. Referee says it's gone forward. Knock on. So with 9 remaining, well, I reckon we can just about start about thinking about putting this one down in a W column under the Gungahlin Bulls.
It's getting to that point, but I just want to make note of the previous set of 6, the Bushrangers coming out of their half. Ravalawa put on 3 massive hits to get them to start the ball from outside their own 40. He's been tremendous in both attack and defence so far this match.
There's been plenty of highlights in this game. Really plenty of highlights in this game. I just wonder whether the Bulls have got one more in the bag of tricks for us. What do you reckon?
I think from a Bushrangers perspective, it needs to be in the next few minutes if you're going to be any hope of staging a comeback. They've got 90 metres to go and they go cut out early on.
Long ball goes on the outside and the race might be on here. Well, no, Tuakakau. I think he made the mistake of looking when he heard the footsteps and he's wrapped up on the halfway. They go across to the left and they've got to try and do something different, the Bushrangers, and I just don't know whether they've got the right mindset for that today. That was Thomas. A couple of long balls. I find Far Ete. Now way over the far side. Is that Gruber? I think it is. Where are they? They're up to the 30. Far Ete again. He just pins the ears back and takes it inside the 20. So they're in the opposition red zone. Now to Izzy Afamui. Afamui looks to find someone, but he's wrapped up. 5th and last. If they can't score, they need the repeat set. They go to Picker. He's found someone. I reckon it might have been Murray, but it doesn't matter as the ball will be turned over right on the goal line. And the Bulls, they're going to take as much time as they possibly can. 7 minutes left on the clock. So if the Bulls can hang on to it for a set of 6 here, put it into touch down the other end of the field, then I reckon we can just about call it game over, done and dusted. And they suddenly don't look like they're playing the wild stuff anymore. They're playing a much more conventional brand of football here, this Bulls side. Just run it from their own line. Solis on the second, up to the 20. Marker might not have quite been square there, but Mead makes another 5, so that's the third. O'Sullivan pops it out the back. Finds Hately. But I tell you, I really like these Bulls jerseys. Can I just make a comment fairly late in the game how much I've enjoyed calling this game? Because those jerseys, they make it very easy to pick who's who. No extraneous stuff on them. The numbers are very, very clear.
Makes our job a lot easier, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And the Bushies jumpers are pretty good as well in that same regard. Francis Totu steps across to the right. Thought about giving it to Tuggeranong. Hangs onto it himself instead. And goes over the halfway. Completes a half-forward roll in there. 5.5 for the gymnastics difficulty. Now Brophy breaks through the line. Picker. Thomas. Still going Thomas. Tackle on the 20. Very slow getting up the Bulls. O'Sullivan lying all over the place in the play of the ball. They're really doing everything in the playbook now to slow down this Bushrangers side. Fifth and last. What have they got? I reckon they'll go to the left. Neil in at dummy half. Who's he give it to? He finds Picker. Picker. Oh, geez, kicking game hasn't been great today. And it's normally much, much better than that. But today, I'm just thinking, when was the last time I saw Tuggeranong? John Croydon will know this would have been the Seaford Oval game. Round 9. And Picker had a blinder that day, didn't he? With his, yeah, and Mitchell was outstanding as well. So we saw some great kicking games from Tuggeranong back in that game. It just hasn't been on for them today at all, Sonny Singh, has it?
No, they'll get another opportunity here. We've got another error from the Bulls, and you don't want to give them too many invitations. There is only 4.5 minutes to go, but we see there is a player down as well in back play.
It's Mead, I think. Yeah. Getting checked around the chops. So clock stopped with 4:38 remaining.
I think so, yeah.
We might just have a listen and see what else we can hear from down there. Checking his jaw. I think it's the touchies we can actually hear. I don't think we can hear much of the referee. It's the touchies we're hearing, which has been some very interesting conversations behind the goals for conversion attempts during the course of the day. We heard all sorts of stuff.
Put it under the bed for Fishberry.
Well, what are the implications of today's result? If you're, as you mentioned earlier, if you're in the top 4 and you're seeing this result, suddenly the competition, it doesn't seem like a foregone conclusion anymore, does it?
No, you're going to have a look. You're certainly going to, if you check out the tape here. Now, John, we've got, so we're Queanbeyan, I'm just asking John Croydon from the Canberra Raiders Cup who is behind us. So Queanbeyan Kangaroos next week. We've got Queanbeyan Kangaroos against the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. And that would likely see top spot on the line then, with only 1 point the difference between these sides. Have you got any other news from elsewhere in the cup? So Westies could level it up against Yass. Oh boy, that'd put them on 23 if they get a draw. If they win, they go to 24. Oh wow, what a finish we're going to have up the top of the table. And if Yass win, they go to 20. And they keep themselves alive. What's the go for Woden this week? As we see over in the corner. Sorry, we'll come back to that in a second. As Livanite Tuggeranong has scored a consolation try for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers in the right corner here. That'll take it to 22-10 with 4 minutes remaining. I shouldn't say consolation try. We've seen 3 tries in 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes at the NRL earlier this season. But the odds are it'll be a consolation try. Set play for the Bushrangers, and I wonder there were the Bulls just resting on the laurels just a tiny bit.
Yeah, they may have been, but it was a nice set play, nice little inside ball followed by a pass out to the winger who went over and with a good grounding as well. Mick Picker looks like he might have just pushed this. No, he's got it. He sliced it in.
It held on, and Mick Picker gets just his second conversion for the season. I don't recall the first one, but I'll take a guess that it wasn't as difficult as that one. From right on the sideline. So 22-12, 3.5 minutes remaining. We will. Well, what do we do? What do you do here if you're the Bulls? It's kick the proverbial out of it right down the other end of the field.
Well, I think it's just business as usual for the Bulls. You don't need to be the ones pushing the envelope at all. You let the Bushrangers play footy here. You shut up shop, but. It's the defence on their goal line has been chalk and cheese from the opening 10 minutes for the rest of the game. A little lapse there, but apart from that, everything in between, they've been very good.
So 22-12 the score. And they do indeed go deep. They don't want to go too deep. That's about where you want to put it, actually, about 2 metres over the goal line. 2.5 remaining. for the Bulls. It's really just a case of don't let the Bushrangers score on this set. That's Hickson. Sorry, John Kreuter from the Canberra Cup is standing behind us, and he was giving us some more details there. We're just waiting to get, if we get that score from the other ground, see if we get an update there or anything else that we've got. So 12 all with how many? 4 minutes to go between Yass and West Belconnen, and that's West Belconnen looking to keep themselves in the mix for top spot, and Yass looking to keep their season alive. And Yass were leading 12-0 at one stage, so that's the other score that we've got there. Woden will be looking at that one with a great deal of interest, and they would even be eyeing off a run at top spot now too. Woden, a win this weekend would take them to 23. Woden with the bye, so they go to 23. Kangaroos with a win today will go to 25. Boy, there's everything to have to play for. Suddenly, in the last couple of weeks in the Raiders Cup.
They are hot to trot to form as well, Woden. I think 8 of their last 9 games they've taken. So
I've enjoyed calling Woden we had them for a couple of weeks in a row, and just as they were really starting to find some form, they are a really hot side to call. As we see a chip over from Ravalawa, the man of the match, he goes for another kick for himself in there. And then he coat hangers was Heyman, who was coming back on side and picked up the ball. I think it wasn't. He just grabbed him coat hanger style and brought him to ground. There's 70 seconds remaining in this one. There is no way the Bushrangers can win it. They'll be looking for another try as they give it to Fa'iti. He's been one of their best today for the Bushrangers.
He has. They've had a lot of solid contributors today, but just key errors at key times. I think I can count 3 or 4 times they've dropped the ball on first tackles. We see a kick here from Mick Picker out to the winger.
Well, he's managed to tap it back into the field of play. No, he hasn't. The referee said, or the touch judge rather, has said he was outside the field of play with his last step. So it will be a ball going to the Bulls. 35 seconds left on the clock. The Bushrangers are coming in to pack the scrum. So they want to make the play. There's a few decidedly unimpressed Bulls players out there. One of whom I think would be Luke Skidmore. He really didn't look terribly impressed that this scrum is actually going to pack. I saw there was the hands that went up with a seriously. You want to pack down the scrum. You don't want to let just the clock run down for the last 30 seconds. So there's 9, 8, 7, 6 seconds left on the clock.
The forwards very happy with their shift work today.
You got to feed it. You got to feed it. Ball's with Bramich. And Bramich just takes it into the Tuggeranong Bushrangers line. There are some massive smiles on the bench for the Gungahlin Bulls. And I've really enjoyed this afternoon. I don't think the Tuggeranong Bushrangers fans will have enjoyed it as much, but I think that was a cracking game of football, and it's great to see a side that can do better than they have done through the course of the season produce in that fashion, Sonny.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game of football, and this will give the Bulls a lot of optimism, not just finishing out the season, but also going into next season, and it's entertaining football for their fans. This is their last home game for the season, and they put on a show for them.
We saw really the try of the day. What are we? Which one would you give it to? I'm still... Jeez, I'm tempted to go with the Jake Skulls one, where he just managed to push and push and push and get the try and get the score, score under the post. But I still keep going back to the Todd Sherd try. Just it was the unexpected nature of it, the way that the Bulls they'd set it up. They'd set up with the scrum over on the left side, and they'd work the ball across to the right, came back to the left, and then came back to the right again. And just the lightning fast hands to get the ball to Sheridan to score in the corner, I think would be the try of the day. Honourable mention for Skulls. And I know that we've got the Mika Ravalawa 100-metre effort to contend with in there as well. And they are spectacular in their own way, but they rely a little bit more on luck than good management to come about.
For sure. And I really appreciate the Skulls effort, mainly because it just typified the way the Bulls played all day. They were willing to throw the ball around. It was a Willie Ruston, standard hit up 20 metres out from the line, gets a good offload away. Skulls keeps the ball alive, and some nifty footwork gets him over the try line.
Indeed. Well, we'll have the interview with the man of the match. I don't think there's any prizes for guessing who that's going to be. We may have telegraphed that about 15 minutes ago. And I don't think anyone would be denying him that, but we'll have that interview available for you soon on Bar TV. Keep an eye out for it. But I look across to my right. I don't know whether we can spot it, whether we can get it for you, but there's a beautiful rainbow at the southern end of this ground. So I think we can safely use the little line this afternoon about the pot of gold being out there and being found by the Gungahlin Bulls side. It's been a pretty long, hard season for them. They've only had 2 wins out of 13 games coming in today, but they've picked up their 3rd win. They've done it in fine style. They weathered an early storm from the top of the table side, and then came out and fired and fired and fired, scored 22 points unanswered before it was a late try to Liv and Kakao in the corner to close the margin a little bit. They got up by 22 points to 12. Sonny Singh, your final thoughts on this afternoon's affair?
Yeah, look, as I mentioned, very entertaining game of football. I'm more interested to see where the Bushrangers go from here. As we mentioned earlier, they're not used to being front runners in the competition. It's been a couple of lean years, so other sides are going to be looking at this game with great interest, I think. And as for the Bulls, yeah, fantastic effort. I think they had contributors all over the park, and I think a lot of their young players, particularly Nick Mead, who's a young 21-year-old, he really directed traffic well out there.
Now, I'm told that Yass have got up, so that keeps their season alive by the barest of margins, because they were on 18 points. They'll go to 20. Woden Valley were on 21, so Woden Valley have the bye today. They go to 23. Warriors will stay on 22, so the Warriors drop from 3rd to 4th. The Rams go up to 3rd on 23. I'm not sure what's going on with the Kangaroos game, but you'd imagine that they'd get up. But then again, you'd imagine that the Bushies would have got up this weekend as well. So I can't say anything further on that score than it's all set up for a very intriguing round 17 and possibly an even more intriguing round 18 as the rest of this season pans out.
And it's exactly what you want. It shows the strength of the competition when you're getting to the last 2 weeks of the regular season and the final spots are all but finalised.
And I said it early in our coverage this afternoon as well, that in the 2017 edition of the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup, we got some massive upset results late in the season that, look, I don't think it affected too many sides' finals performance, but it certainly injected a lot more interest and opened up some intriguing possibilities going into the last round. And, well, we've seen perhaps the first of them here this afternoon, although I suspect Yass beating Westies at Kipax as well could turn out to be another upset result when you look at the big picture for this season. Sonny, been great to share the commentary bench with you this afternoon. We'll do it again next week back at Sears Workwear Oval.
Absolutely. Should be a cracking game of football as well.
We will pack the sunglasses, the SPS 15, in case the sun's shining. We'll also pack the gloves and the thermal long johns, because if the wind is blowing, it can be very, very cold out there. Seriously, next weekend, if you want to do something on a Saturday afternoon, instead of watching it at home, get on out to Sears Workwear Oval to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos Club, because it's going to be a belter. It's a great place to sit and watch footy at that club. If you can't be there, we'll have the action for you on Bar TV. But thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for an upset win to the Gungahlin Bulls. They've got up this afternoon by 22 points to 12 over the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. It's been a cracking afternoon of football, and once again, on behalf of everyone involved at the Canberra Raiders Cup, the Austbrokers crew, our friends at Bloomers, our sponsors, of course our friends at Bar TV who bring you the great pictures. Thank you for your fine work this afternoon. Sonny Singh, great to work with you again this afternoon. This is Chris Coleman signing off from the Gungahlin Enclosed Oval for this afternoon.